This part here is called, like, check your 10. Obviously 10 points being the hips, ribs, shoulders, head and neck, and forwards and backwards. So we want to check all those things. So this is how I use a round yard to check all these 10 points. And in checking these 10 points, it's not that they have to get them perfect. It's not that they even have to get nice big green ticks next to each of the parts, especially when you're riding a greener horse. It's just, we just want to touch on all the points that we're going to touch on when we ride them outside, so that there should be no surprises when we get outside. Now, put a bit of confidence into yourself. Well, I know that I've kicked this horse's hips. I know that he can side pass a little bit. I know that we've got some sort of a stop, some sort of a backup. I can keep myself out of trouble. You don't want to go outside just cold, particularly on a horse, you know, that's a bit fresh, or he's just come in, or he's in his first week of coming in. You want to get all of this so that you know that you're in control of this horse, that you can use all of these parts. Plus, it's also a very good check of well, what do I need to work on? What do I need to train next? Well, if his hips are a bit sticky in here, and you can sort of control the rest of him, well, it's hips for the next 2 or 3 days. Or it's his side pass is a bit slow, side passing. Or if it's just good, well, you can start going and training some more higher level stuff. But without the basics of being able to control his hips and his ribs and his shoulders and some head and neck, then going out there and trying and training the more trickier stuff, you're always going to be fighting a losing battle, because you don't actually have the foundation set up and you're not preparing the horse to do it right. So imagine sitting up here and you've got like a checklist at your left hips, your right hips, right ribs, right shoulders, and you've got a little box on each part, forwards and backwards, right? Big green ticks are nice, but they're not necessary. Little black ticks in the corner are just fine, blanks even fine. What we're really chasing here is big red crosses. If we get a big red cross that the horse will not do it or has a very bad reaction to doing it, well, we probably can't get ourselves outside and out in the wide open spaces. We're probably not safe enough. So we want to keep ourselves, because the more confident we are, the better leader we can be, the more willing this horse is going to be a confident follower. And that's what I want when I'm training a horse. I want to be a leader that's worthy of being followed. And I want this horse to be super confident in everything that I ask it to do, whether it knows it or not. Particularly when we start to gallop and we start to ride one-handed, this horse has to have a lot of faith in me that I know what I'm doing. Otherwise, the horse starts to take over and starts to do its own thing. Yeah, there's stuff about, oh, it's a partnership. Well, yeah, but not a 50-50 partnership. Like, we don't make one decision one day and another decision the other day, because we could end up facing in that direction. If it's a partnership where we're both on parallel tracks, that's fine, but the horse's idea of a good time is going and eating loose in the paddock, not going galloping and doing all the hard things we're going to ask it to do. So it's not a partnership. I want to be the leader, but I want the horse very confident. I want the horse to confidently follow me wherever I take him, which means that I'm not going to get him into trouble, because I am looking after my horse. And by looking after the horse means that I've trained it, that it goes where I need it to go, but he doesn't get hurt or scared along the way. Right, so we've got on our horse facing the rail. Right, we've now sat here because that's all we asked him to do, was just, I just need to get on you and you just sit here. Right, so now we'll go left, because most horses are more comfortable going to the left, so we want to go to the path of least resistance for a bit. If your horse is more comfortable to right, go right first. It doesn't really matter. But when we go one way, we're going to go one way all the time to until it's done, and you'll get that along the way. So just, if the horse will just walk off, that's cool. If the horse has got a bit more go in him, well, you just got to go with it. We don't want to try and hold a horse to doing anything. We want the horse to control himself. So as we're going around, right, if he starts to drift into the rail a little bit, I just want to just try and see if I can just push him back out to the rail. Now he's already done this with the irresistible aid, same rein, same leg. Just push him back out onto the rail. And you're like, oh, cool. Maybe I've got a little bit of some handle there. But now to check our hips, I'll just get to the other side. All I'm going to do is up ahead, I'm going to choose a post and I'm going to put his nose on it and I'm going to push his hips to the centre of the yard. And that's all I want him to do. Now what we need to get to the point where the horse only asks what we want it to do. We only want that 1 step, 2 step. We don't want him to like fly over there and do anything. We don't want him burning any extra petrol tickets, especially when we're playing in a fast game, and we need all of them as we can. So this is how we start teaching him that he only needs to do what we're asking him to do. So it's just run your hand down the rein and using the irresistible aid of the same rein, same leg, and just push his hips to the middle. Cool, that's what we wanted. So we give him a little pause, give him a mental pat of saying, that's all you needed to do, mate. Right, you pat a horse like this, all you're doing is just banging on him. You give a horse a break after a bit of stress, a bit of a challenge. That's when you start training the horse. Oh, that's the answer, is giving them a break. Right, and then see if we can walk his front end. Oh yeah, got a little bit of walk. Right, so I've got some sort of hip control here now. So I'm just going to bump him up into a trot. Bump him up into a trot, yes. Right, now, rising trot on a horse that you do not know is an invitation to get bucked out of the yard. Sit trot on your pockets. And then just same thing, hang on, I'll get to the other side. Run your hand down the rail, stop riding and just push his hips to the centre of the yard. Right, that was pretty good. So you can either, if you need to do the trot again, you can do the trot again. Otherwise, you can probably just put him up into a lope. Right, you can be doing this two-handed, that's fine. I'm going to do it one-handed here so that I make it really clear when I'm running my hand down the rail, down the rein. Right, so same thing, as we're cantering along, I'm going to pick that one there, I'm going to stop riding, and he cheated me. I'm going to pop his hips over there. Right, because this horse cheated, I'm going to go again and do the same thing. Right, as we're cantering along, run your hand down the rein, and pop his hips to the middle of the yard. There's been plenty of horses that, if that's all I can get to, because they're green or they're like really fighting and really resistant, if that's all I get to, then that's fine. Because we need to build these horses up. We want to make them a mountain like this. We want to build their confidence and build their knowledge up, a layer of paint at a time. So we need to paint that layer of moving the hips, but we've already prepped him by moving the hips around. We can start to get a bit of one-step control. So this is why the groundwork translates into the saddle, is we're starting to build on what we've already taught the horse. We don't want to ask the horse anything it doesn't have an answer for. Right. So we've got our hips. Hips are pretty good. Yeah, I reckon our hips are right. They'll probably get a tick down here in this pocket. So we'll move on to the next one, which is ribs. So as we go around here again, cantering along, Right, this time I'm going to pop my hips over and then I'm just going to keep asking him sideways against the rail. And then when his feet are soft, I'll stop asking. Right, that's obviously pretty good. This horse has done it a million times before. That's the start of our ribs. And then our ribs, what we want to do is be able to get them so we can just push our horse off the rail to soft feet. Right, so our ribs are starting to work. We've actually got some control where we can push our ribs and control them. The horse has stayed pretty straight. Now remember, if our side pass starts to break down, it's just a combination of shoulders and hips, and shoulders and hips, until they just start pushing off the leg. Right, so I'll go around for another side pass him off the rail. So at the start, we use the rail to help ourselves, push him across. Once we've got that established, then we can see if we can push, not using the rail, we can just use our hands and feet to get him going. So we've got hips, ribs, we're on the shoulders now. Right, so with the shoulders, we kind of get a little bit of them each time. When we kick their hips across, we see if we can just walk those shoulders across as we go in the direction. So we're starting to chip away at them. But this here is how we check the shoulders, check that we got the shoulders actually moving and the horse is starting to get off our leg, is we just ride big circle, little circle. So big circle and then just a little circle in there. Right, 2/3 of your round yard, back out again, because that felt pretty good. So what I might do is I might just hold him in here and see if I can get 2. And then back out again. If your horse starts to break down, because this is too hard for it, then just put him back out on the outside rail and just free him up again and then ask him again. Now here, I have to get most people at the clinics to put their right hand on their dominant hand on their head, so they start riding the horse around the corner. Right, we want to ride the horse around here rather than steer, because when you start to steer this, the horse starts to get bent, and most horses will start to kick their hindquarters out, and it breaks down. So when we're doing these small circles, most important thing is that horse gets off our leg. We want to just ride him around the circle. So outside leg, we're pushing him around there. Right, probably left shoulders get a tick. At some stage here, I need to get around here and I'm going to ask this horse for a stop. Doesn't really matter what sort of stop I get, it's just the fact that the horse wants to stop for me. Right, now I'm going to do this again. We're going to canter around and I'm going to ask him for a stop, and I'm going to actually hold him in the stop until he backs up. That's how we check our back up. So we'll go again, canter off. This time 2 reins, hold him and just hold him into his back up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Didn't break at the pole very much there. I reckon we can get a better one. Right, prep him up a bit more for it. That's better. 1. Right. Check the back up. Now, I've been working on it, but we need to check our forward as well. Oh, but you've been going forward all the time, canting around the circle. Yes, but can I go forward under a bit of collection, under a bit of pressure? So can I take that same pressure that made that horse back up and see if I can get him to walk to canter off that same sort of pressure, right? So we want to walk to canter is the start of our building collection. Right, so we've probably got green ticks for our hips and our ribs and our shoulders. Head and neck, yes, he yielded a bit. Well, we haven't had any like big red crosses about how he's yielded his head and his neck. We've canted off into a bit of collection. We can stop, we can back up. This side's probably done, or this side's probably done. Now, because we've been going left all this time, we're going to finish it off going left and just see if we can isolate and walk our front end through to then start going right. And start going right, see if we can push him out to the round yard a little bit. You know, if you can't get this, it's not the end of the world, doesn't matter. But it's just another little chink of the armour that you're the one in control. And then run your hand down the rein, pick his head up and push his hips to the outside, like push his hips to the middle of the yard. Cool. Oh, look at that, walk the front end over. Probably can trot off here. Remember, sit trot, sitting on your pockets. Rising trot is an invitation to get bucked off. Especially when the horse is fresh and you don't know it. You start getting here going like this, it's not that much to just send you over the rail. Right, so sit trot, sitting on your pockets, hide your jeans pockets with the saddle. Sit trot, run your hand down the rail, pick his head up, push his hips in. Right, that's all we wanted to do. And give him a little spell. You can't see it, but he actually got a little bit of lick and chew going on there. Right, we're going to the right, so we're going to keep going to the right. Walk the front end, oh nice, pretty good. Now all that's pretty good, so we can probably just canter off. Right, cantering off. Run your hand down the rein, stop riding, pick his head up, push his hips to the middle of the yard. Thank you. Right, that was a bit clunky, he rushed it a little bit, maybe I didn't prep him right, so we're going to go again. Walk his front end through, canter off. Right, stop riding, and he cheated because he knew the score. But that was a lot smoother, his feet stayed a lot softer, he didn't get clunky and dumpy, didn't have stiff legs. Right, pretty happy, we'll move on. So that's his hips. So we'll move on here again. Cantering around, this time we're just going to pop his hips out, then we'll just hold him in to see if you can just get him to side pass along the rail. Nice. Right, so we asked, move on, cantering off. Now we've side passed along the rail. Let's see if we can just side pass off the rail now. Not brilliant. See here, like he stopped and then I had to pick him up to side pass. So we want those feet just to drift for us. But the side pass ended up pretty good, so we'll just give him a little break about that this is what I asked you to do, mate. Right, forward and around, cantering off. Right, side passing again. That's a better one. Right, hips, ribs sorted. Move on to the front end. So starting to get a little bit of front end movement all the time, like as I canted off then. But here we go, big circle, little circle. Remember, we're riding the circle, so if you're starting to steer, you find yourself starting to steer and pull on this rein to get him to come around. Doesn't matter how green that horse is, maybe just put your hand on your head and just start to ride him around that circle. Right, one circle's fine, let him go back out. Right, well that was pretty good. Let's see how we can hold him in here a little bit. Oh, look at that, 2 circles. Maybe it's like this horse has only done it a million times before. That was pretty good. Now let's see what sort of stop we've got. Beat me to the stop. And I didn't hold him in there to back him up. So we'll go again, but we're going to start here with our bit of checking our forward on our right hand side. So we'll hold him into a little bit of pressure and just see if we can walk to canter. No, I sort of dropped the reins there a little bit, so he doesn't get a big green tick for that. Right, this time I'm going to hold him in. That was shocking, mate, but I held him in to the back up. Not rushing, I can back him up 1-2. Right, let's see if I can get this right this time. Let me walk to canter, much better. And then, now, being filmed, I'm doing a lot of my stops and turnarounds and that in the same spot. Try not to, try and do them all around the yard in different places so that when your horse gets to this spot it doesn't start just already preparing to stop, but obviously it's a lot harder if I'm closer to see what I'm doing underneath the rail. Right, so I've checked all of this horse. There's probably nothing really I can do in combination out there now that I don't have control of. Right, so I've got his shoulders going both ways. I can lengthen and I can shorten and lengthen a canter circle. I can side pass. If it all goes pear shaped like really badly, I know that I can grab him and kick his hips over. You know, start to do like the most part of a one rein stop. Speaking of one rein stops, I'm not really that much of a fan of them because we've spent all this time trying to connect the mouth to the feet, that if then we start to get him to stop like this, well, we're disconnecting the mouth from the feet because we're making him give his face without his feet moving. If you got to save your life, do it, absolutely. But you're better off probably if you're pulling that trigger and using that more than on the very odd occasion, you probably haven't prepped your horse enough, right? So. And it's just one thing, it's another thing to get over when you start to ride them one-handed, is that if you've one rein stopped your horse a heap, and I've ridden horses that have been, they're like, oh, it doesn't turn around real good. Well, yeah, there's a reason, because he's had his head pulled off and got to there. And now when you pull that rein, that means that only those feet can move like that, right? And they're like, oh, he doesn't turn around good one-handed. Well, that's because his mouth isn't connected to his feet. So when we get to go riding these horses one-handed, we want these feet nice and free and loose, and doing lots of one rein stops just seems to hinder it. It's the thing that you have to build a bridge with them and get them over it, and that's extra work. But by all means, if you need to save your life, absolutely use it. Right, so we've checked all of this. This is good. He's cantered some laps. There's probably nothing I can go and do out there that isn't a combination of hips, ribs, shoulders, head and neck, going forwards, going backwards, that he's going to surprise him. Like I've physically touched him everywhere and used it all. But we've been getting off one leg at a time. So we've been going left, and he's confident that's the job. We're going left now. We've been going right. So the test here is the gait. And for the polocross people, the gait is about as good as line-up training as you can ever get, because we're doing a lot of that one-step control, that manipulation, particularly one-handed, under a bit of pressure from that gait. So as we're going along, right, probably the easiest way to get to the gate is just to put your horse's nose on the chain and kick his hindquarters around and ride him forward. And you see how my chains on all my gates in this round yard are up high, so they're all at horse height. That was done very intentionally. Right, so the gate is that I want to be able to open and shut this gate and the horse not panic, not move, but see how I'm getting off my right leg, and now I need to shut the gate going off my left leg. Right, and off my right leg. Catch your hips up there, mate. Now off my left leg. Now why this is the test is because, as I said, we've been going off one leg all the time. We've been pushing him off this leg, off this leg, off this leg, back around again. This can blow horses up, and they're not ready. They're not ready for the next stage if they can't do this, where you can control them this way and then this way. Right, so you just do this until you're comfortable with the horse. And now there's going to be forwards and backing up and hips, move your hips, now push your shoulders in, all that sort of stuff. But when you can get your horse to do this and it's just happy being here, right, hang on to the gate, ride it around the gate, and now lock yourself out of the gate. You'd be surprised how many horses get to this point and just want to bolt. Doesn't matter how good you've prepped them up here, but that's just because in here they've decided means pressure, and out there they get relief. Well, sorry mate, there's no relief when you bolt anywhere. So then just the final test before you ride outside, especially a strange horse or your own horse when you've brought him back in, is just to push him around here, right, until the horse is just doing the job that he's been asked to do. And you'll notice that this opening and shutting the gate this way is a lot more hips, because he's making a bigger circle with his hips than his shoulders. But then this way, shutting yourself into the yard, it's a lot more shoulders than it is hips. Right? Either way, you need control of it. But very important that you don't just, oh, I've done all this great work, and then you just get to here and just go, yeah! Right? Finish off what you started. And if you can control the horse on the outside here, his mates might be over there neighing at him, and if you can get here, drop your reins and shut the gate, well, you're in for a very successful ride because you've prepped your horse. Now, in saying all that, this can get pretty tedious. So there's how I've checked my 10. Right, I've checked all the parts of the horse that I'm going to need to use at any stage really. Forward, backwards, left and right, hips, ribs, shoulders, head and neck. I've checked that I can control him at the gate. Now you can get bogged in here doing this. Right, I've broken this down really slowly and it's taken a lot like time to explain all the parts. This should be like 2 to 3 to 4 minutes in the yard. If it's taking you more than that, you're taking too long and you're starting to like bore your horse in here. The idea of riding in the yard is this is not where you ride, this is where you prep your horse to be ridden outside or wherever you're going to go train it. So yeah, like with this horse, when I bring him in, like if he's going to go and have a spell, he's probably going to be out for maybe 2 or 3 months. When he comes in, I'm going to do all of this again, but I know he's been here a million times. So for me, I'm just going to check everything and check it in about 2 or 3 minutes. I'm not going to go and like drone this into him. I showed this to a girl who was having a bit of trouble with her horse, and she rang me like 10 days later saying, geez, my horse is getting really tight, really sticky and just really doughy. Well, it sounds like it needs a gallop. Well, what have you been doing with it? Oh, I've just been in the round yard. Oh, well, that's the reason. The round yard is the prep area for go train your horse outside. Now, sometimes you may not get out of the round yard. You may just get stuck on, well, the hips don't work at all. I've got big red crosses on my hip. Well, you have to stay in here until that's done, but generally that's a pretty green or pretty resistant horse that you're having to do other work with anyway. But yeah, but this is how I use the round yard, obviously long format, and this is so that there is no part of your horse that doesn't get touched in here, doesn't get touched and used, so hopefully there are no surprises out there. Horse panics and grabs him, well, you've done a stop. You know you can back up. So just to give ourselves the confidence that we've touched all parts of this horse and that we know all the stuff. We don't want any surprises when we go out. The only surprise we should ever have is that we're pleasantly surprised at how well it went. And if we've prepped right, then that should always be the case, unless we know that we've got problems here, we've got problems somewhere, but at least they're known problems, and known problems are very easy to deal with. But yeah, like, you know, say you see a bit of wire on the ground, you know that you can grab this horse and hold him and pull him backwards there. Or if he grabs a fright, we know that we can just push him sideways out of the way to get control of his feet again. It's just, yeah, we just don't want surprises. Because and if you're confident that you can handle anything, well then you can handle anything. And the more confident you are, the better the horse will yield to you. And be a follower. So yeah, so that's how I use the round yard. And just a few other little bits and pieces while we're in here. If you're having trouble getting to the gate, right, to open the gate, give your horse a little bit of prep work to start with about kicking his hips side to side. So put his nose at a post and kick his hips all the way around, right? Walk a step forward and kick his hips all the way around. Walk a step forward and kick his hips all the way around. We're just starting to, we're just prepping him up just to help him out, because that could get a little bit difficult. Same as if the front end. Walk forward, put his bum on a post and then walk his front feet around, make a big circle with his front feet and a little circle with his back feet, like he's a sprinkler. And the straighter you can keep him, the more that he's getting off your leg rather than your hands doing the work. So yeah, if you're having a bit of trouble with the gait, prep him up a little bit by doing those couple of exercises first, and then they're not bad exercises to have as well. Right, so the horse is prepped good. Now that we go outside, there's not much that we can't do. We just need to put these things into combinations now. So we can side pass. So side pass the square, kick his hips around, and continue side passing the square. Kick his hips around, continue side passing the square. Right, kick his hips around, side pass the square. Just stuff like that. We can start to put all our bits and pieces into now combinations, which is how we will end up using them. So same as the front end, side pass, front end comes through, side pass, front end comes through, side pass, front end comes through. Side passing squares is a pretty handy thing. Now when your horse is starting to go pretty good, we'll side pass. We can walk our front end, side pass, our front end to then walk forward to then change back the other way. So if our horse only really needs to know that it needs to get off your leg, either move its hips or its shoulders and give its face. Everything else is just a combination of all those three things. So instead of asking our horse questions it doesn't have answers to, if we can bring it back that every question is only just a combination of those answers, and you should have your horse a lot more confident about being asked to do what you want it to do. And then also it's that you're making the decisions about what you want. I want the front end. I now want the back end. I want the ribs. Right? Front end, back up, so on and so forth. So the question that I ask at the schools is why is mustering, moving stock, cattle, sheep, doesn't really matter. Why is it such a good thing for horses? People swear by it. And the answers that you get are like long hours in the saddle, that's part of it. Sweaty saddlecloth, that's part of it. But what it actually is that it's just a series of decisions being made for you, right? So when you're moving that mob of stock along, well, now you need to ride over here and tuck this corner in, and now you need to stop and wait, and oh shit, I've bent them too far, so now I need to get over here and put it in here, tuck that corner in, and now I need to push the whole mob that way a little bit, and now I need to, oh no, they're all going good, just sit here and wait. Oh no, that one's breaking back, so now I've got to, so it gets, the mob dictates to you where you need to go, how fast you need to do it, and what you need to do when you're there. If you can replicate all of those things just in your mind by you just making decisions. I want to ride to that post or that tree or that hay bale. And if you can just say, I want this, and make it very clear, I want the front end. Well, the horse can give the front end. If you go, oh, I think I want to go to the gate, pretty please. Nothing happened. Oh, shocking, because I didn't actually ask the horse for anything. Or generally what happens is you give a nice little cue with what you think, and the horse is like, yeah, I'll do what I think I need to do, which gets me out of the least amount of trouble, which is generally not the right idea.